Classic Plus is a very contentious topic amongst the community, from what systems should have to the definition of horizontal progression, on top of that the drama and the feeling of abandonment by the classic devs. Whether that's true or not is irrelevant because player perception is almost always more important than reality. If a player feels that they're being abandoned or not cared for, they'll ignore facts and truth and focus on the fact that they feel a particular type of way. This has always been the truth with online sensationalism and online journalism. Just everything online, clicks and the bait of conversation is more important than what's actually being said. And so we go into the drama that happened recently with people effectively saying Classic Plus is cancelled, China is the favorite child, and we don't deserve anything and we're not getting anything because the classic devs have abandoned us. Now, we've got to walk back and discuss everything from the beginning and go through all pieces of the drama step by step, but we've got to start with the very first thing. At Warcraft Direct last year, we effectively found out that Titan Forge servers were a thing and they were coming, but to China only. And a lot of people got mad because SADA just ended. The only options were Anniversary or going to Mr. Pandaria. People felt kind of like empty and vapid to a degree because they were like, well, is this it? No Phase 9, no Classic Plus. That's it. And after the amount of fun people were having in Phase 8, despite some of its problems, people were looking forward to that plus content. The more and the more and the more. The development of the classic world, the classic universe forever. But we did not get that. So what did we get? A whole bunch of hopium and a lot of teasing and what ifs and potentiality. The devs on a lot of interviews in like meetings and like blue posts, they always mention we're working on more things, we can't wait to share more, the future is bright, we got a lot of projects we're working on, the continuation of Classic. But they never said Classic Plus, they never said what they were working on, but they teased it. But you see, there's kind of an issue with teasing, is the fact that you can tease something all you want, but people do not have the patience to wait a year or two for a product to release. Content creators are also guilty of exasperating that situation, that conversational tone, because their content relies on having something to talk about. Classic content creators in particular are very locked into that ecosystem, and the classic player base that's very loud and like vocal online, even if it's a minority or not is irrelevant, they want more. The classic enemies hate the idea of Classic Plus, but the majority of the player base that wants more, who are speaking online, constantly clamor on the fact that we're not getting anything. Classic is dead, Anniversary is this, Mr. Pandaria is that. They harp on the negativity because negative conversation is easier to digest and listen to than positivity. If you're positive, you're a shill. If you're negative, you're a hater and you're sticking it to the big man, the corporation. And again, this isn't to like call out anybody or make any drama. I'm just talking about how players view it and how the conversation spreads. Even a website like Wowhead is very guilty of this with sensationalist titles. For example, China's exclusive Titan Reforged servers will be the classic team's main focus for the next year. So where did this even come from? It was from a 3-minute video, a segment designed solely for the Chinese community. Now, people saw this one statement from Ian Hazakostas and Clayton Stone. They were on a little show together talking about the Titan Forge servers, which is a rather pay-to-win, egregious, like monetized server that's only for the Chinese player base because they did not get Season of Discovery. And I'm gonna play the quote right here.
The Titan Reforged realm is such an important undertaking for us, and it's something we have created just for you, the Chinese community. Alongside MoP Classic and Modern, it will be our team's main focus for the next year.
So you hear that? The main focus for the next year, and this sent the Classic Plus player base into a frenzy. We're abandoned, there's no more Classic Plus, it's over, time to start the dooming and glooming. And for example, we're gonna bring up an image of my friends here. Right here you can see my boy Kago with why Classic Plus is 1,000,000% happening, and my boy Solheim with Classic Plus is cancelled, we got some news but it sucks. Neither of these people were incorrect because based on what was said, how it was said, and how it was interpreted, everybody's technically correct. Now, Kago's video came out much further before, and he was talking about a lot of the doom and gloom about the Classic Plus and the Classic community, because Kago is a positive figure. He always talks about the positive and the hype and the what if. People call him a shill and hate on him all the time for that. You're not allowed to be positive in this community. How dare you suck the proverbial cock of Blizzard, get it out of your mouth, and start hating like the rest of us. Now, I don't agree with that. I mean, yeah, don't get the cock out your mouth, but it shouldn't be in there in the first place. Regardless, the point I'm making is that when it does come to content creation, being positive isn't exactly something that's looked upon favorably in the Classic scene. Which then brings me to this post that the WoW Classic devs did to clarify the issue. Greetings, we wanted to take a moment to comment on our recent communications we assembled specifically for our community in China. Now, throughout my last couple of streams and the last couple of videos, people have asked me about this and I was very specific about it. This doesn't mean Classic Plus isn't coming. This whole segment was just for the Chinese player base. It was just for this community over there. I was still upset and mad because effectively, we're not really going to be getting much news for about a year till next BlizzCon, where they're going to announce Classic Plus, Classic New Season, Classic Azeroth 2, Classic 2, whatever you want to call it, the name is irrelevant. But continuing on the reading, we appreciate the discussion about our updates in China, but we want to clarify that everything in those comments, particularly comments about our focus, is intended for our China community specifically. What we are working on, be it Classic Anniversary or Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary, Mr. Pandaria Classic, and the future of our Progression Realms, or anything else we are working on in the Classic space, has not changed, and to be clear, our announcements regarding our plans in China do not change that. This feels like a good time to refer back to one of our blue posts, so we'll just leave this here. And if I open up the blue post, but before I do, I just want to show my boy Jerome's comment here. Sorry, we got caught telling our favorite child they are more important than you. That's how a lot of people felt. Like I said, perception is more important than reality. Perception is more important than how things are actually portrayed or what they're meant to say. How it comes up at face value directly is how people will take it for the most part. Now, this was a post by Agran on the Blizzard forums on May 27th. It's a long write-up, I'm not going to read everything, but I am going to scroll down to the bottom here. We sincerely thank you for joining us on this incredible journey in Season of Discovery. Thank you all for playing with us, making new friends, for giving feedback, for pushing the boundaries of what content we set in the original WoW could look like, and more than anything, thank you for being passionate about World of Warcraft. And just above that, we want to set ourselves up for success by taking the time we need to get in the proverbial kitchen and cook, iterate on, and shape our ideas and lessons learned from Season of Discovery into something truly exciting. Season of Discovery was always meant to be an ephemeral seasonal experience, and while it became so much more, we're extremely excited about the things we're working on in the future. So from the very beginning, we've had effectively no news information, like I said at the beginning of the video, aside from stuff's coming, trust us, be patient and wait, we promise it's going to be good. But like I said, the hype only lasted initially, and people started to get burnt out and frustrated and angry. What do you mean we're going back into AQ40 and into Naxxramas for the 6th time? What do you mean, Mr. Pandaria? This isn't classic, I don't like this. And when you put all of these things together, you can see why there's so much negativity and frustration in the classic community right now. People see retail, they see them getting constant dev updates, constant blog posts, blue posts, constant updates. Midnight WoW, there's a Chris Metzen showcase happening on October 1st. We're getting the alpha on October 2nd. For a classic player's perspective, they see China getting this ginormous, amazing server, whether it's pay to win or not is irrelevant, like RMT and the whole botting issue in classic scene is a different conversation. People see this and they get jealous. They see retail players having a good time. I've gotten a lot of hate from my classic community and audience because I've been enjoying The War Within Season 3. I'm not saying it's a perfect experience, but I've been having a blast playing retail, and that makes me a traitor to the classic community. Then they see this Chinese server, and then they look at what they have. Now, I already said this several times already, but people are just upset with where they are. They can be excited for the future, but they don't have a name to be excited for, an ideal to be excited for. The Classic devs are not going to release anything, especially not for something the scale of Classic Plus before BlizzCon. They're cooking up a ginormous showcase. BlizzCon has to have headlining titles. The Last Titan, Classic Plus, they're probably going to redo the RTS scene again, maybe a Warcraft or a StarCraft 3, completely irrelevant. We know Microsoft's trying to launch a whole bunch of new IPs, a whole bunch of new games in the Blizzard IPs, so we'll probably get a Diablo horror game, Warcraft RPG, just shit like that, right? They're planning on milking all of Blizzard's IPs, right? Because Blizzard games don't make as much money compared to other games, for example. And whilst I'm incredibly excited for Classic Plus, I would be amiss to not understand the frustrations of the Classic player base. I think it's exaggerated. I think the anger and the angst is way too overblown. Yes, the Chinese player base is getting this cool Titanforge server with vanilla through Wrath of the Lich King, or the raid bosses scaled up to 80, 25-man raid sizes, legendaries that progress all the way. So you can have Thunder Fury and the Warglaves and Shadowmourne and your legendary bow and all of these items and your Atiash, and have it all get scaled and be usable for essentially 3 expansions condensed into what, a 2 or 3 year time frame. And when this news did break, as I said, the immediate reaction was pure negativity, because the player base does feel abandoned at the end of the day. Now, I want to go back to the beginning, towards the end of Season of Discovery, and go in depth on what's happened since then and where we've gotten to and how the player base has been feeling. Again, I'm only looking at this from the data that I have access to. I don't have access to Blizzard's data. I don't have access to anything else like that. So right here, we have all the population. This was 2019. This was TBC. This was Wrath of the Lich King Classic. This was Cataclysm Classic. And now over here, we are in Mr. Pandaria. Mr. Pandaria has about 155,000 raiders as of right now. They also have a slightly healthier PvP scene with about 32,000 arena players, give or take, competing and fighting in the PvP in the MoP scene. The anniversary and the classic MoP player base has been on a steady and, slow decline because there isn't really that much to look forward to. TBC anniversary is exciting, and I'll cover that in a bit more in a second. But right around here is when Season of Discovery launched. I can't see the exact date, but it was right around here. Cataclysm launched in the middle of Phase 3. A lot of drama and issues happened there. And then we go to where we are in Mr. Pandaria right now, and the game mode has half the player base of effectively what Firelands did. When the Firelands is over here, effectively half of what the first phase of Cataclysm did. The player base doesn't seem that excited, despite MoP being the most played version of Classic right now. It doesn't feel like that. Classic has never been smaller, has never had less players, and never had less interest than what it has today right now. Now over here, we have the Anniversary Classic population. As you guys can see, there was a slow and decent climb all the way over here. Blackwing Lair peaked at 103,000 raiders, and since then it's been on a slow and steady decline. From 103,000 raiders during the beginning of Blackwing Lair, well, not the beginning, at the peak of Blackwing Lair, all the way down to 78,000 raiders. Now, everybody was saying AQ4 was going to drop their player base, and it did, right? It dropped it about from, give or take, this is around Blackwing Lair, 90k down to about 78,000. It wasn't a ginormous drop like a lot of people estimated, but it was still about a 15-20% drop, give or take. Well, not a full 20%, but like a 15% drop. 12,000 people is still a large amount of people. But the devs have said before that only about 1/3 to half the player base actually raid. So there's still a lot of people at Anniversary that do not partake in any raiding, maybe not even log their raids, who are just casual players, enjoy playing, enjoy gaming, and just ignore all this online stuff. Most people do not partake in anything, right? They don't partake in any kind of conversation, any kind of online discourse. They completely avoid everything and just stick to themselves in the communities and just play the game and have fun. But regardless, you look at these two major servers, these are the only versions of the class that really have a population right now, and combined, you have 180,000 people with 80,000 here. That's about 260,000 give or take people raid logging. I don't want to say half the people have alts, right? I know a lot of people do have alts, but we're just going to say 25% of that is alts, right? So instead of 260,000, we're going to say there's about 210, 215,000 singular players that are raiding and raid logging. That means it's about 400 to 600,000 people overall playing All of Classic. Retail right now is said to have about 4 million subs, give or take. Assuming 1 million of that is Classic players, that means there's about 3 million retail players to the 1 million Classic players. Again, I'm underestimating the subs severely because Blizzard doesn't reveal that information, and I don't think we're at 7 or 8 million subs right now, despite us getting pretty high up with the last sub information we got about a year ago. Now, right here we have Season of Discovery. When it launched, it actually sincerely and severely ate into Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Then we had Phase 2. And as you guys can see in Phase 2, we're still about 300,000 people. Instead of people having 8 alts, like at the beginning of Phase 1, people had 2 alt or 1 alt. Then you had Phase 3. In Phase 3, you had about 185,000, 180,000 people in Sunken Temple enjoying the game mode and experience. But then Incursions and everything else slowly tanked the experience in the server and the player base. Then Phase 4 with Molten Core. Then Blackwing Lair. Then you had AQ at the 70,000 player mark. Then you had Phase 7 with Naxxramas. And then you had Phase 8 with Scarlet Enclave. And it maintained a very healthy 75,000 to 70,000 raiders throughout the whole experience. Since effectively Phase 4, all the way till the end of SOD, at the end of Phase 8, it maintained a very healthy player base. Now, you guys can see when they finally announced that SOD was over, and the Mr. Pandaria boost with killing Balnazar the first boss. It went from, right here, 75,000, to 67, to 53, to 40,000, to 30, 22, 12, 9. And then from there, it's continually declined until we are here where we are today at 2,700 active raiders in Season of Discovery. A lot of the SOD player base is very angry and upset right now because people had to scout out to the 7 wins. Some people went to retail, some people went back to Anniversary, some people just quit World of Warcraft altogether, some people just quit playing WoW altogether. Some people played Mr. Pandaria with the Balnazar boost. I tried, I couldn't get into Mr. Pandaria. There's no, discredit to people that enjoy Mr. Pandaria Classic, but for me, A, it's not classic, and B, it's a worse version of retail. I know that's not a factual statement, I know that's not a one-to-one. The people that enjoy Mr. Pandaria, I hope you guys keep enjoying. I hope Throne of Thunder is amazing. I hope Siege of Orgrimmar is amazing. I hope you guys just keep having a full-on blast and an experience that's enjoyable to the very end of Mr. Pandaria Classic. But for me, at the end of MOP, what's going to happen? We're going to Warlords of Draenor Classic, or we're going to merge into retail. I'm not that excited about Legion Classic because we're getting Legion Remix soon. That's the same thing that kind of killed my hype for MOP Classic was I just did that recently with Mr. Pandaria Remix. The whole thing, much faster, much smoother, much funner. It was an enjoyable little game mode that was condensed, right? Now, I should also mention era servers, right? You have Classic Era here, and Classic Era servers are effectively like the retirement home. This is where the boomers with the GDKPs, all the consumes, everything being min-maxed and fully unlocked and understood. There's still about 11,000 people raiding here. I would say there's about only a 25-30% alt scene here, maybe slightly more. But at its worst, it's 5,500 people raiding. Realistic, it's about 7,500 to 8,000 people sitting here enjoying raiding, just leveling, hardcore, all those things. The player base is having a good time. But it's not growing. Classic WoW across the board is shrinking and people see that. It causes panic to set in. When people look at Mr. Pandaria continuously slowly declining, when people look at Anniversary continuously slowly declining, when people see that the future of Classic doesn't seem that bright, it eats into the hype and the hope that people truly have for the game mode. Because all they see is retail WoW's getting this, retail WoW's getting that, China's getting this, China's getting that. As a Classic player, a lot of people saw the death of SOD, and then they see that there's no communication with the Classic scene, right? In Anniversary, for example, we didn't learn about the Naxxramas patch until about 2 weeks beforehand. There was no real roadmap, there's no real understanding. Now, we did have a roadmap, at Warcraft there, where they showed us what was coming, but there's no time frames or dates. With retail, we effectively know that every 8 to 9 weeks, you're getting a new content patch. There's little mini patches in between, you have your big patches, you have all these game modes coming, you have remix and all these things. But you always have some kind of hopium for the future, some kind of desire and some kind of goal that you can play towards and wait towards, right? If you're not great at Mythic Plus, you can wait. You can effectively just wait until they do the turbo boost. You know all the plans, all the ideas, all the things that are coming, even if you don't know the exact dates. For the Classic player base, they don't even know what changes are coming. Mr. Pandaria gets random changes. For example, in the Raid to World First of Mr. Pandaria, they did a change in the middle of the boss. I saw the thing, I made a video about it, I discussed it a little bit, but they literally did a change in the middle of the Raid to World First. They completely fucked over a guild from getting, World First clear. And then, for example, with Classic Anniversary, we got some changes. But what is TBC getting? Is TBC Anniversary going to have slight class balancing? Is it going to have this? Is it going to have that? What are they going to take in, remove, change? Mr. Pandaria had a shit ton of changes. And Mr. Pandaria, to be fair, does get a lot of communication. He gets a lot of updates and information. But the player base, like I said, doesn't feel like they're being heard, doesn't feel like they're being listened to, it just feels completely and absolutely abandoned and ignored. That is not true. But that's how it feels. Because even if they get communication, there's only so much the devs can really say about Anniversary or Mr. Pandaria. They're finished games. No matter the changes or the optimizations or updates they do, it's finished. So they can only really tell you stuff when they're launching it. There's not much else to really be excited for. They can't hype you up with a, look at this new raid tier coming. It's Naxxramas. You can only make that blue post so long and fluffy as you want. It's Naxxramas at the end of the day. Same thing for Mr. Pandaria. The Landfall patch, Brawlers Guild. Oh, that's cool. Thank you for these blue posts and these updates. But you can't get people excited about that. It's not a very excitable experience and vibe or a world at all right now. Which ties into this comment on my boy Hammer's video. It's over, we're so back. It's over, we're so back. The Balila strategy. WoW is dead and terrible. WoW is finally back and it's great again. WoW is dying. It's time to leave. They just fixed WoW. This has been the classic mentality for a while here. Anniversary is dead. People seem to like AQ, maybe not. Anniversary is dying. Nax hype. Nax is dead. TBC hype. SSC and TTK is too hard. TBC is dead. It's gonna be a repeating vicious cycle. Let's rush through Anniversary so we can get into TBC Anniversary. Then you get into TBC Anniversary and people are gonna say, man, I want another classic fresh. And this is what the average classic content creator looks like right about now. The average classic forum user, the average classic plus enjoyer. While they're trying to predict the future, we look borderline, I'm not going to say the word I want to say there, but we look stupid. Because the predictions and the theory crafting, it's all irrelevant because Classic Plus is a year plus away. And you can't build hype for an unannounced project that is A, Schrodinger's MMO, it's both real and not, B, could get cancelled at any moment, C, could be good, could be bad, and D, we might all just treat it the same way we treated Classic. Rush, 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 min-max, 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 finish the game, then complain that there's no content. The huge part of the actual negative discourse began when Blizzard sued Turtle WoW. They sued the largest Classic Plus private server for copyright infringement, and it wasn't a regular lawsuit. They had the RICO charges and things in there. They went ham, they named all the individuals employed there. They were going after everybody individually as well. It was a very big, very deep, very highly detailed, and very advanced lawsuit. It wasn't a regular cease and desist. It was a multifaceted, very in-depth experience. So when this happened, people understood, right? You had a lot of people in every comment section going, fuck Blizzard, how could they? And then you also had a bunch of people saying, fuck the private servers, they stole things, what did they expect was gonna happen? The vitriol was back and forth. A lot of classic players who wanted Classic Plus were like, but this gives me something in the meantime. We get that Blizzard's working on it, but I don't trust Blizzard. I don't like Blizzard. The Classic team has failed me. The Classic team is this, retail is that. I don't want to deal with that. I like my private server. And then the other side going, give Blizzard some time, give them some space, give them the ability to work on things, get off their back, let them breathe and work, right? Neither side was technically wrong here. Yes, Blizzard had the right to sue the private server, and they did the legal and right thing for them as a multi-trillion-dollar corporation, well, Blizzard's a small portion of that, and went after to protect their assets. And that's what they should have done. But the Classic player base was justified in feeling aggravated and angry and abandoned when this got shut down, and then we got no news, and then the Chinese incident happened where the Chinese player base gets the Titanforge servers, and then you hear that statement out of context. This is the focus for the next year. You can see how the ever-building negative sentiment kept on stacking and stacking and stacking on top of each other to make things worse. On top of that, every week or so, or every 2 weeks, another private server would shut down or cease and desist or this and that. Right here, you have a post from the Everlook private server, and this was pretty much a dead private server. I'm pretty sure the owner here used as an excuse to shut down a server. I think there was like 13 people playing on it at the time of shutdown, and he effectively said, you know, thank you all. I hope Blizzard takes this as a lesson to try to create more private server content and work with private servers to make better and better content. Use this as a learning experience. Don't just abandon your player base. Give them what they want. And I'll actually read what he said. I hope that Blizzard takes this huge community, all the private server players, as an indicator and opportunity to reach a subset of players that they have lost over the last 20 plus years instead of thinking of it as competition. Then, to go towards the end of that, he says, otherwise Blizzard risked alienating a huge number of people, much more than any PR or marketing could get back. And that's the whole point with the current drama and the current issue of Classic Plus is, a lot of Classic players feel burnt. They already dislike Blizzard from the get-go, for example from Warlords or Original Miss, or from Shadowlands and BFA, the butchering of the law, Arthas getting disenchanted as Anima, the Jailer, you know, a lot of like woke this or woke that, whether you agree with that stuff or not. People feel alienated by Blizzard, by the modern direction, and despite it being a good game now, a lot of people cannot let that go. Keep in mind there's been over 100 million accounts made lifetime for World of Warcraft. I think it's close to 150 million accounts right now. Of that 150 million people, if we're being generous, let's say 6 million are subbed right now, like much higher than what I said earlier. Let's just say there's 6 million people. That means 144 million people have quit World of Warcraft at one point or another. Let's halve that now. Let's say half of that was alt accounts or banned accounts, right? That means there's about 70-ish million people who don't play World of Warcraft anymore. 70 million people. That's a rather extravagant amount of people that could potentially come back for Classic Plus or a WoW 2.0 that's happening in the future. Preach did an interview with Ian. He discussed this and talked about it. They're not making a WoW 2. With Chris Metzen's return, they're going to redo the story. There's going to be a timeline reboot or whatever the hell that happens in retail. They're going to restart and relaunch everything. It's going to be a one-to-one little, thing where 500 years in the future, after Azeroth awakes, blows up the world, puts it back together, fixes the issues, and then fucks off to times unknown and cosmos locations unknown. But this video isn't about WoW 2.0. That's a whole different topic. Classic Plus isn't a game for retail players, right? Retail players don't care about Classic. And a lot of even Mr. Pandaria players don't care about Classic. A lot of people are playing Mr. Pandaria or retail because the old version of the game is aggravating, frustrating, and boring to them. And a lot of people are playing Classic and not MoP or retail because the modern features, the quality of life, the lack of a grind that feels fulfilling to them is alienating. So these player bases are like oil and water. They do not mesh and they are separate. And the Classic Plus player base and the Classic player base in general, like I said, is ever shrinking. World of Warcraft hit its peak player count in a very long time thanks to 2019. So many people came back at the lull in the terrible situation of BFA and all of that. Shadowlands was the worst World of Warcraft has ever been. Keep that in mind. And Classic 2019 brought back, I think it was 7 million people resubscribed to play Classic 2019. 7 million. Will Classic Plus get 7 million? Probably not. There was also COVID and a whole bunch of other situations at hand that kind of helped that happen. But that's the overarching reason. The storyline goes 2019, TBC, Cosby Suite, player-based tanks. Wrath is hype, people come back. Then we get Season of Discovery, holy shit, this is amazing. Then it's Cataclysm, then it's Mr. Pandaria, and Anniversary. And it kept going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 down. And it's only continuing to go down. The player base does not feel loved, they do not feel heard, they don't feel respected. And that's why there's so much negativity. That's why there's so much frustration, so much vitriol. Do you guys remember the retail player base during Shadowlands? When all the people were having fun in Classic, having a blast, enjoying themselves, loving life, enjoying the whole experience, the whole world, rallying in Classic, and retail was left to squander? People went from having huge communities and huge guilds to the game fracturing, dying upon itself. It took Dragonflight and the War Within to get back to decent numbers, to get back to the game being good. There was 2 good expansions back to back, with the hype of Chris Metzen and Midnight WoW itself even looking really good. Retail took 3 years and kind of coasted off Classic, slowly building the player base back up as more and more people quit Classic, more people returned to retail, got better and better and bigger. But Classic did not have that experience. You can't relaunch Anniversary for the 77th time and expect people to come back and be excited and hyped. Now, this has been a very long rant and a very long ramble, right? Probably could have been way more succinct, probably could have done editing, probably could have made a better video. But I just want to give my final opinions and my final thoughts on the whole drama and the whole situation. Classic Plus is coming. It's not dead, it's not terrible, it's not over, but you have to wait over a year to get something. So if you're gonna quit, that's fine, quit, go play something else. Play retail, quit World of Warcraft altogether, go to places unknown. Classic WoW is still going to be here when Classic Plus comes out in a year. The Anniversary crowd and the TBC Anniversary crowd are going to have a good time. They're going to enjoy themselves. The MoP Classic crowd is going to enjoy themselves. World of Warcraft is in a good state, all things considered. It's just not a great state for Classic players. But hey, this is probably my last Classic video until we get some more news about Classic Plus and things like that. So if you like this video, like and subscribe. If you hated it, understandable. Dislike and subscribe and become a dedicated hater. We don't half-ass hate on this channel, we full-ass it. So thank you all for watching. Ebonheart out. Peace.